Anthony, roll 17, take 14.
So man, the other day, this guy comes to the studio and says, Vince, man, how do I clean this CD? And I said, well, unlike an album, man, where you cleaned around, you go from the center out. He goes, well, I've never cleaned an album. I said, oh, you haven't? He says, never owned an album. I was like, whoa. Then I realized, this guy's never owned an album. This guy is like MTV his entire life, cable TV. This guy's plugged into his cell phone 24/7. He's walking around talking like he has Tourette's syndrome. You know, I'm like, just 1 minute, he's talking to somebody, you know. I'm like, these people, man, they're plugged in. I mean, that's all they know, you know. So they're comfortable with this. But to me, it's like, ooh, that's not my life. That's like someone else's life, you know, or someone else listening in or being a part of my life. I don't care for that for some reason, you know. I guess I'm an old fucker, but you know, I mean, ooh, there's a lot of these kids out there, man. And when it all comes apart, what are they going to be? You know, they're going to look up to us, old school, yeah, old school. Or are they going to be? Are they going to be the cutting edge shit? You know, I'm going to be looking to them for what's going on. Well, I know I'm going to be looking, you know, but we'll see what happens, man. It's weird, twisted up fun. Hasn't gotten weird enough for me yet.
Good.
Truth comes with time. Everyone has their own version of truth. All three of us could be watching the same thing right now, and if we were asked to tell what happened, we all would have a slightly different version, but it would still be truth to each one of us. And I think that with time,
Mark. Hi, I'm Vince. Hi, I'm Vincent Marlette, and I fly under radar.
I'm somewhat of an enigma. I need nothing, yet I need everything. I have nothing, excessive wants or needs, or well, let's say needs. You know, I've got $35 a month car insurance and $30 a quarter for my pager, and that's about it, you know. Well, see, there's only 24 hours in the day. I think that's the only thing that every single one of us on this planet have in common. There's 60 seconds to each minute, and there's 24 hours to each day. Regardless of how much money you have or how much education you have, that's one thing that every single one of us have that's the same. And what any one of us chooses to do with those 60 seconds in each minute and those 24 hours in each day is up to each individual. And as far as, you know, when it's all said and done, at the end of the 24 hours, if you're happy with what you've done, regardless of what it is, then it was a good day. Well, you know, we're all products of experiences, and I personally, I was raised to believe that money equaled success and success equaled happiness. And by the time I was 23 years old, I had a waterbed manufacturing company. I had distribution for all waterbed products for 7 states. I had 7 retail stores. And I made a lot of money. And I still was empty. I still wasn't happy. I became self-destructive and lived a lifestyle that most people couldn't imagine. 3-story house with fireplaces on each floor, burning hickory in all 3 of them, and it's 103 degrees outside. So I got a big giggle and a smile out of doing it, you know. Go with friends out drinking, and everyone gets drunk, and they close up the bars and say, "Fuck this, man, let's go to Mexico." And everyone like, ha ha ha, and the limo rolls us onto the tarmac, and we get on the plane. And as we're taking off, the dude's head comes up off the seat in front of him and goes, "Who's gonna feed my cat?" And I'm rolling laughing, you know. Now that's how I got my jollies, you know. Now it's fucked up. So I obviously, what I was raised to believe was not happiness or success as far as it pertained to me. People, they go to work, they get educated, and they go to work to live a lifestyle that they're comfortable with. And this lifestyle actually ends up controlling them in the fact that maybe they do things in their daily life to make that living that they don't really agree with, or that they normally wouldn't do. So they're actually selling a part of themselves and a part of their soul to live a particular lifestyle. Well, see, I still haven't found out where I want to take my life. I think there's a happy medium somewhere between there and here. I'm still trying to figure out what it's about, man. You know? As I can, you know? I've done a lot of dumpster diving, and things that I get there are things that have achieved no value in the corporate world, either due to time or technology rolling over, or someone's stupidity. Atlanta seems to be somewhat of a mecca for corporate headquarters of electronics, and also for a major repair center.
It's amazing the things that get thrown into dumpsters for various reasons, all which boils down to dollars. Someone's paying, you know, so many dollars a cubic foot for warehouse space, and there's stuff on a shelf that they, you know, is gathering dust, and, you know, all of a sudden, you know, needs to be thrown in a dumpster. Maybe perfectly good stuff. And I'm not sure if that's a national thing or something that, you know, just is an Atlanta thing, but it's definitely prolific here. Just about anything that you want, you know, if you want to take the time to dig through dumpster, you'll find it, you know. And even the things that you don't want to find. So, they even throw away the CDs, you know, blank CDs. You go to places like Circuit City and stuff, someone will buy a new burner, install it themselves, don't know what the hell they're doing. They're trying to burn something, you know, at the fastest speed it can, and they didn't run any of the system tests or anything. Man, error. So these discs are bad. They just take a slap a label on it, throw it in the dumpster. You know, well, shit, man. I've got more rewritables, you know, than you can imagine. You know, I'm throwing them away and using the jewel cases. That's how many rewritables I've got. You know, when they first came out, they were like $8 a piece. You know, rewritables. Woo. So, you know, it's all relative to, you know, what's going on at the time, man. The stuff, you know, it's cool stuff if you can do something with it, and you know, otherwise it's just a bunch of shit, you know, to cart around with.
It was, to me, not to glorify it, was the epitome of cool. Long, I mean, had a whole lot more hair, long, real blonde hair, and long, about 6 inches below his shoulders, and Vinnie was definitely the center of attention in the apartment complex. There was probably about, you know, 8 to 10 of us in a little clique, you know, and then, I mean, just one day he was gone. He just disappeared. He disappeared, and not even his best friend knew where he was for about a month. About a month later, I heard there was a couple of rumors going around. You know, when you disappear like that, everybody starts talking shit and saying, oh, we got busted, this happened, that happened. We heard all kinds. Finally said, yeah, he called me from Kansas City, Missouri. He's with his dad. Because, you know, your mama didn't come down to the clubhouse and say, hey, Vinnie's here or whatever, you know. So I guess it was 25 years later. Can I say I'm a drug addict?
You can say whatever you want. You can cuss too.
Yeah, I've already done that. Well, I am. I'm pretty much a drug addict, and I'm speaking for myself. I never stopped, but 25 years later, I know these guys from up in Hall County, up in the country. He brings me down to this salvage computer store. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like a huge scrapyard of computers, and man, we was geeking and we were digging through this stuff, and it was just the best playground I'd been in a long time. And then we hear this bam, bam, bam on the metal doors. You know, of course, I got all tense. I went and sat down like I wasn't doing nothing, you know. Didn't know where I was, whose place it was, or anything, you know. And this girl and guy come in, you know, and I can tell that they're just as, you know, Mark introduces me, you know, this is Vince, and it's Teresa, you know, and they come in, and I can tell right off the bat that these people are familiar with this place, you know, they know the owner, they're making them. And so I'm sitting there looking at a book, don't really know who they are or what I can be. I don't feel free to be geeking through the stuff anymore. And he introduced him, and you know, I guess it was about 10 minutes later, and I'm looking at a magazine, and I'm listening to Vince and Mark talk. And I don't know how, if y'all his very distinctive deep voice, his sound, all of a sudden I just looked over, man. I just remembered it. I said, you know, one night he's gone, man, 25 years later, man. I said, are you Vince Marlette? And I must have had some kind of shitty tone, man, but it was a tone of really of excitement or something, you know. Not that kind of excitement, but I was like, are you Vince Marlette? And you looked at me and you go, why did I do something wrong? Before he'd answer the question, he said, why did I do something wrong? Because, you know, when I'm wired, when I'm geeked, I kind of do look scary. My eyes are bugged out of my head, you know, kind of greasy, and I don't know. And he was like, why? But anyway, and we just went down memory lane that day. It was, I guess, around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning in this old computer salvage warehouse.
So, man, it's everything about me is like dumpster stuff, you know. Here I'm gonna make a clock. Tell me what you think of these, man. This is, someone asked me, how did you ever think to do this? I won't tell you the technique, because that's all art is technique, but this is a CD. Cool, huh? No two the same. Well, when you're crawling around in a dumpster at 5 in the morning with about 100,000 AOL discs, you know, the first thing you think is you start flying them like frisbees, you know, into the street light. Well, that gets old quick. So, you know, I'm like, well, what can I do with them? Well, anyway, I found something really cool to do with them that makes this effect. And on the opposite side, it makes this effect. And everyone's different. So anyway, I'm thinking, man, I can make a clock out of this, right? You know, hands and, you know, kind of a contemporary look. I think they'd be pretty cool, you know. $4, $5 Christmas item, you know. Anyway, moving right along. So I get these cameras out of dumpsters. Well, the first thing anybody would do is get on the internet and punch up that number, you know, and see what you get. Well, Canon, they don't even claim to have made this thing. I don't know nothing about it. They suggest that you know, like appeal to their secret something blah, blah, blah division. I'm like, ooh, I don't think I'll go there. So anyway, I broke this thing open and to the best of my ability determined, you know, what the voltage was and what was positive and what was negative. So, you know, I put, you know, a little shielded thing out here, and it's, you know, positive and, you know, the shield's negative. I loaned this thing to a camera buddy of mine, and man, he fell in love with it. It took him a year to bring it back to me. He says that it gives off the coolest image he's ever seen, man. People look like silver or foil, you know. Anyway, out of a dumpster. Why? I don't know. But, you know, there it was. Someone went to the trouble to make it. I had to take it apart to see if I could make it do something, you know. And that's pretty much the way it is with all of it. You know, I think I have this huge, like, question mark about, well, what is it? Well, why did somebody, you know, go to the trouble to, like, make it? I want to know. So, you know, I just like dive in, start taking stuff apart.
A year earlier, I had started dumpster diving and going through dumpsters. And I mainly look for electronics and construction materials. I mean, I never climb in a restaurant dumpster or a grocery store dumpster and stuff. And so I found out, another thing we had in common was Vinnie, a few days after that time, you know, I just wouldn't leave him alone. You know, I think Vinnie would have been fine if I never saw him again the day after that meet in the warehouse, you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning. But I kept on calling him and going around and hanging with him, pretty much like I did when I was 14. What's up, buddy? Get up on out of there. And he also lived in a recording studio, and you know, I'm all about wanting to hang out and be hip and everything, you know. So anyway, he took me to his storage space. He kept talking about these storage spaces, so he takes me there. 4 of them he has in this one storage place, man. They're full from the front to the back, all of them. And we start going through this stuff, you know. And he says, and this is some of the neatest shit, glass eyeballs that look, man. Mixing boards, man, lights like this stuff right here, cameras, electronic computers, man, servers, man, printers. And I'm just like, and he says, yeah, all this came from a dumpster. I think I was hooked then. I mean, you ought to see my room, man. I mean,
That stuff's expensive.
you'd know I was a drug addict if you saw my room. I mean, it's sure, but I mean, it's not like a trashy. There's just shit all over the place, man. But I think it's good shit, you know.
Everyone that I know that has attempted to take dumpster diving to a profit type of thing, they've all fallen short. Actually, what happens is the possessions end up controlling them instead of them controlling the possessions. There's just not enough hours in the day to acquire the stuff, clean the stuff, assess where it is, and sell it. You know, I'm not saying that it can't be done. I just haven't known anyone that has gotten there, you know.
The first time I heard the word dumpster diving, though, I guess it was probably about 2 years before then. I met you. I heard that term dumpster diving, and I was literally disgusted. I went, dumpster diving? Yeah. I said, yeah, I climbed in a few when I was 12, you know, but I said, I don't think I'm gonna be. I had no idea. I've probably been in 1,000 dumpsters since the last 4 years. As embarrassing as that just then sounded, that's the truth, you know.
society has created a dream, and everything would collapse upon itself if people didn't chase after this dream. So, hell, I'm 45. I've played into it and lived it. Still wasn't happy, but you know, I did it.
The world, the planet that we're all on, I consider it to be much like a bus. And this bus is taking all of us to a time and place. I know that we rotate around the sun, but yet there is a point in time that we're all traveling to. And as communications have become what they have, and travel has become what it has, the world has become a much smaller place. And as much as everyone dislikes the idea of, you know, a one world society, I think that that's what we're going to end up with. The dollar is not worth what it was. A car, an average car, $20,000 to $30,000 now. You know, insurance payments between $500 and $1,000 a month. You know, you've got to be making $100,000 a year just to have an average life. A lot of people they're not living for themselves. They're selling a part of themselves and a part of their soul, doing things that they on a daily basis hate to do, regardless of what it is. They hate to get up every day because they know what that day is going to be, exactly like the day before. What kind of hell is that?
Yeah, I just really never realized how thin and long the legs of democracy are until the terrorist event. Man, everything in our society is affected in one way or another, and each is like dominoes. Things are affecting me today that 6 months ago I never would have dreamed that they could have or would have. America right now, anybody that has family there, that moved away to the big city and they have family there, and these people are hurting, you know? Everything's like dried up, gone away, folded up, blown away. These people are hanging on, you know? Hell, if they didn't have some land to grow a crop on and have friends and church and stuff, man, they'd be dust, you know, just like everything is blown away. Man, you know, of course it's going to hit there first, or be more visible there first than in the cities. But hell, it's right here in the cities. I mean, hell, I'm looking at it right here, you know, and I'm right there with you. It's fucked up, man. What are you going to do? What's she going to do, you know? I don't have any answers, man. I have a lot of questions, I have a lot of thoughts, you know, and that's all they are, thoughts. But I don't think there's going to be anything here 10 or 15 years from now as far as, you know, humanity. So, yeah, I'll go for the technology. Anyway, it's just something to ponder and think about. It's twisted up, but, you know, here we are.
In some personal relationship with his last girl. I believe that's where that situation is right now. And I think he really cared about her. And I think it hurts a lot when you want to help someone and you can't. And we're all just a composite of what all's happened to us.
Vinnie today, he was a lot more extroverted as a kid. He was the center of attention, you know, in that group there, in that environment. But today he's withdrawn considerably. He's more to himself.
You know, all the things that I've experienced in life, good or bad, I've looked at all of them as positive things, or at least I've taken away positive things from all of my experiences. You know, at this point in my life, sure, I second guess things. What if I had have done this, or what if I had have done that? And I think that we all just do that by nature at different points in our lives. You know, people assess where they're at or where they're going. You have to live with yourself. You know.
Nails. What's up with the nails?
Yeah. Well, you know, I get self-conscious when people start talking about my nails. I mean, because it's such a, you know, it really is not that unusual of a thing. You see people chewing on straws all the time, biting their fingernails. You know, just keeping your hands like that. But what happened? Well, I've been doing this for about 18, 20 years.
Yeah.
What I remember most about Vinnie is he's the first person, or the only time, he talked my mother into smoking a marijuana cigarette. But I mean, there's a lot more I remember about him. But if there was nothing else in his personality, I would always remember that. The one and only time my mom smoked a joint, Vinnie talked her into it. Because I think she was a little bit drunk. She came back from her honeymoon on her third husband.
And that was on the screened-in back porch, wasn't it?
No, it was in the den.
Was it?
Yeah, in the den. I can't believe you don't remember. How many parents have you talked into smoking dope, and you don't?
Well, maybe.
Probably a lot of
maybe
them.
I talked to her into smoking twice.
Yeah. So that summer was it right there. We had a good summer. We partied and stuff, and he would take these mysterious trips. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but down to Hartsfield Airport, he'd come back with these sacks full of goodies, and I'm just going to tell it, you know. And so, and I was, you know, I started using it at a young age, and I was, so that was he was the man. He was the man in the little teenage group we had there. He was the man, and boy, I would have given a red shotgun to be part of that, you know, ride with him down to the airport. But that was Bruce Dexter's job, his best friend. On dope, you couldn't shut me fucking up, okay? I could rattle off some shit like, I've done Orange Sunshine, I've done Blotter Acid, I've done Mr. Natural, Window Pain, LSD 25, I've done all those hallucinogens. All through my teens, I did drugs. By the time I was 18, 19 years old, I pretty much, no more barbiturates. We were big on the barbiturates as a teen. I was strictly a cocaine and methamphetamine person. Years and years of drug addiction. I really don't feel like, and now I got to get over this. I don't really feel like I have a fraction of the personality I have on dope. Wouldn't you say I'm more entertaining on dope? These guys know you good?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, okay, the one sentence I would like to say is that I believe you're an addict too, you know, and but I mean, and I don't know that I can even go there, or you even want that on there, or whatever, or if I should even be that judgmental with a statement like that, or whatever.
He wants to turn this into a story that is heavy into drugs, subtone.
There's more reality.
He does?
Well, yeah. I mean,
More reality than anything.
It has been a constant battle between you and I since day one.
Well, Vince, right here while the cameras aren't rolling, the fact is it has been a main factor in our lives. I mean, I know I didn't know you for 25 years. There's a gap there between it. I don't know what you're doing, but you pretty much don't. You smoke a little pot, you know, and you pretty much were right where I was when I met you, you know, 3 years ago. We loved our drug of choice was the same, you know. You told me some stories, so I feel like you stayed on the bike the whole way too, like I did, you know. Him wanting to make it up, you know, that's part of you, man. But see, I don't feel comfortable about talking about your drug use, or your drug problem, if you want to call it that, or what.
That's the, what do they call it, the dichotomy of what it is. Here's a guy who is outgoing and friendly and all that kind of stuff and doesn't want all the visibility and wants to do. So I think he fights with that all the time. I really do. And some of it may be on the result of the drug culture. Drug culture, you definitely want to be invisible. You want to make things happen, but you don't want to be a pimp and out there with the fur coat and hat and all the women around you. I don't want to do that. Here's the product, give me the money, get lost, and whatever you got to do. So I think that fit his lifestyle really good. That part of it, and I think that it wasn't that he developed that for that. I think he had that, and it just, boy, that was a natural.
And I'm not always privy to exactly how he lives because he always keeps a little secrets from me, I guess. Just like most people do, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm concerned, and I don't worry, but I'm concerned, and I always, give him all the positive feelings I can. You can't help someone if they don't want you to help.
He's real cautious. He's real, I don't know, paranoid for lack of a better word. I don't remember being that safe as kids, of course, but I guess whatever's happened to him in that 25 years, he is real cautious about that.
I think man is fueled by his addictions. And his addictions don't necessarily have to be drugs. They can be lifestyle. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think the more addictions someone has, the greater their need to achieve. So they're going to do more than someone that just wants to get by.
If we're not being honest, nobody really gives a fuck.
Well, but what story are we telling here? See, that's what I'm saying. If we want to tell about, international intrigue, drug smuggling, and, all that kind of stuff, that we can, but I'd rather be like a blur, and my name not be Vincent Marletta.
We don't have to get that far into it, but I mean, I think the audience has to understand that you've experienced.
Hey, blow me
The audience
hard.
has to understand that you've experienced some of this,
Or
in order for you to talk intelligently on drugs, you really had to. I can't.
because I'm not a happy camper.
Not a happy camper?
No. This is not my story. I said up front, I wasn't going to tell this story.
Okay. What story was that?
The one we were talking, in the beginning. So anyway, are we done?
No.
Oh, I'm not going to say this shit.
Okay, well, let's not do that.
All right. Yeah,
Hold on a
so
second.
now I'm just pissed.
Okay. No. Don't be
Yeah,
pissed.
I am. I'm just fucking
Well,
pissed.
can I say one thing real quick?
Sure,
Don't
sure.
stop. Our problem we're having is that, I'm capturing you at two different moments. I'm capturing you sometimes, you're a different whole personality, and then other times you're a whole other personality.
So what does that have to do with drugs? Okay.
I think there's some sort of correlation.
But you think.
I think.
So,
Unless
well,
you're-
what does that have to do with it?
Well, I'm just
But
worried about-
you think, therefore it is? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I just
You
our
think,
viewers
therefore it
gonna-
is?
our viewers
That's what
gonna
you're saying.
think that you're like a symbol.
Well, that's fine. That's fucking fine. Okay?
Okay.
All right, cool.
All right, what do you want to move
All
to
right.
then?
All right. What do you guys want to do
next?
next?
Talking about.
How you doing?
Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
We're talking the story that we were initially talking about. I wasn't trying to pull anybody into anything like we
Hey,
talked
no, let's just keep
Okay.
going. Just keep going.
about. Okay. So.
This is not my home. I'm living in another land. I'm lost, Like to find a home, man. Something that I could feel comfortable and you know, listen to like, you know, jet airplanes like crack the sky, you know, break the sound, rattle the windows. Look at the weather balloons, you know. I remember that shit. That was cool, you know, those were the days. Of course, those were the days we stood on the front seat, no seat belts or child stuff, and everyone like took responsibility for their own actions and their own shit. Somebody fucked something up, man, they were like, man, I'm sorry, I fucked up. Here, what do I owe you? I'll come over and fix your shit for you. Now it's like, hell, I didn't do it. My insurance company will contact your insurance company and we'll see you in court, and I didn't do a thing. Don't admit to nothing, man, you know. No fault. No, man. It's like, fuck, man, be real. Deal the deck straight up. It gets weird enough by itself, you know. If you deal the deck straight up, fuck, at least you know where you stand, you know. It's like, you know, I don't have a problem with knowing what to do if, you know, I know what's being told to me is straight up. Yeah, everything gets weird, but man, you know, you have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and deal with it, you know. Don't hide, don't like, you know, roll out on it. It's life, man. It's real. It's, you know, human. You know, let's do it. Let's make it right. Let's live it. Let's love it, you know, and peace, love, and a better world, you know. Hey, it is hot, I will say that. I'm thinking to myself, you know, life is what you make it, you know. Live in the moment, man. Fucking live your life and like turn that shit off. Snap the rear view mirror fucking off. And drive down the road, man. Live a good life and be happy. So, fuck that. Is that okay? All right.